Good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday, happy Wellness Wednesday. Things are going to be a little weird this morning. I'm excited to say that I am coming at you live from Salt Lake City, but because of my setup here in the hotel room, my phone's a little weird, my light's a little weird, so if I don't look like I'm looking at you, I'm sorry. I'm just, it's a little strange this morning. But if you're here, let me know you're here, and if you don't see this till afterwards, hit hashtag replay in the comments. Eric just waved at me. I'm coming at you live from Salt Lake City, so it made sense to do a travel edition of Wellness Wednesday, right? And I'm here because my activewear company is holding its annual summit here. You can't see my shirt, but it says Reach for the Moon. That's our theme, and that's getting started later this week. So this is a great opportunity for those of us in the activewear company to bond and learn and grow. Whatever company that you are with, company events have a way of lighting a fire for you. So no matter who you're with, if you have an opportunity to go to a company event that involves learning and bonding, I absolutely recommend that you do so. I can't think of a time that I have ever been sorry for coming to a company event. And I always come back with a little extra fire in my heart. So I'm really looking forward to this. Not only that, but my activewear company has been named #1 excuse me, in women-led business by the Women's President's Organization. I couldn't be more proud or grateful to be part of this company. And if you'd like to know more, absolutely drop me a comment or shoot me a message. But in the meantime, let's get on with travel tips for wellness, okay? So traveling can be stressful. And whether you do it all the time or once in a while, it can be very stressful. Today seems like a great day to talk about it. Tips for reducing stress as well as for staying well when you're traveling. Some of these you probably know or you've heard before, and some of them may be new to you, but it never hurts to review, right? And I'm still trying to get myself together here as far as how I should be set up, so bear with me, because I always have notes. And I always have links if you want to know where I got some of the information that I'm using, okay? So let's start with sanity and health tips, right? Because that's always first and foremost on everybody's mind. First of all, most of these are going to be sanity tips that we're going to talk about here. And one of the first ones that I like to talk about is off-site versus airport parking. The first time I ever traveled anywhere where I needed to worry about first time I ever traveled in a big group, everybody was doing off-site parking instead of airport parking, and up until that point I had only done airport parking because I like the idea of having my vehicle right where I'm going to be, right? Does that make sense? So forgive me if I have to keep fixing things. So off-site versus airport parking. A lot of times you can save money by doing off-site parking with reputable off-site companies. However, depending on the situation when you're coming home, I know we had been gone for like 8 days and we had parked off-site at the recommendation of my friends, and it took quite some time for us to get, good morning, Miss Ann, nice to see you. It had taken quite some time for us to get from the airport to where our vehicles were and then get out of there. And in the time that it took for that to happen, I could have been on a tram to the economy parking lot and been in my vehicle and been long gone. And after being gone for a solid 8 days, I was ready to go. So it's going to be a personal preference. For me, it's often worth it to pay the tiny bit more to be in the long-term economy parking garage instead of an off-site location. So it depends on the company you're using, again, how reputable they are, and what you're comfortable with. But those are things to think about ahead of time. And I actually just encountered, good morning, Miss Erica. I actually just encountered someone who didn't even know that you could actually park long-term on the airport property. Yeah, good early morning is right, Erica. One thing I forgot to mention when I got on here was that when I was planning my Wellness Wednesday, and my little tripod, my phone keeps moving on me, so bear with me here. I did not take into account the time change, so it's actually 5:15 here in Salt Lake City, because I wanted to make sure I was on time for all of you. But we were in bed early because we were tired, so that works. I've actually got a full night of sleep under my belt. Okay, so offsite versus airport parking. You have the ability to pre-book all of these things, whether it's through the airport or through the offsite vendors. It definitely saves a lot of time and stress. If you can pre-book, prepay, and have all of that set up ahead of time. If that's not something you knew you could do, the airports do have long-term economy parking if you're going to be gone longer than a couple of days. At one point in time, you could actually charge it to the Sun Pass if you're in Florida and you have one of those, but most of the time you can just pre-book and prepay and have all your information with you so that you know where you're going, you know where you're dropping your car off, and you know how you're getting from your vehicle to the airport. So, of course, anytime that you can, and sometimes this isn't possible with international travel, my second tip is to check in on the airline app before, as soon as it becomes available. Most airlines now have an app. You have the ability to check in through the app ahead of time so that you have your boarding pass and everything already right on your phone. That's the advent of technology. And you can still get a printed boarding pass when you get to the airport if you prefer that. Most of the airlines have kiosks that you can go to, whether you've checked in already or not. But I like having the boarding pass on my phone because as long as I keep track of my phone, I can't lose the boarding pass. First couple of times I traveled, I was really super obsessive about having that piece of paper, but it has turned out to be much easier to have it on the phone. And of course, arrive early at the airport, even if you don't think you need to. This is our first time doing TSA pre-check, and we still got there 2 hours early, but it did seem like all of the lines everywhere we went were long, even just to check our bags, whether we were TSA pre-check or not. So even with the TSA pre-check, good morning, Miss Carla, I still absolutely recommend that you plan on showing up 2 hours early, and that is the recommendation of the airlines and the airports, even though they acknowledge that there are some people who are frequent travelers that roll in like an hour before their flight leaves. I don't recommend it. I find that to be extremely stressful, and I'm a bit of a planner, so we feel better if we get there at a time that we know is going to give us plenty of time to do what we need to do and get to our gate. Speaking of the gate, if you are there early or you have a layover, you may want to get some food, you may want to do some shopping in the airport, you may want to do any of those things. I always recommend that you locate your gate first and then go back to what you want to do from there. Once you've been through the TSA checks and all of that, because knowing where your terminal is keeps you it just kind of gives you a center point or a medial point to gravitate out from, and then you can go do whatever you want, but at least you know where your gate is and you're not rushing at the last minute to find it. I actually saw a couple of people literally running through the airport yesterday, and I've come close to that one time when I was traveling. It's not a comfortable feeling. So again, the pre-planning, knowing where you need to be, how you're getting there, and then if you want to wander or explore through the airport, you can kind of just gravitate out from that medial point. Backpack or sleeved bags versus a purse or a shoulder bag. If you've got a lot of walking to do through the airport or a lot of time that you have to keep track of your items, hands down, I have always done better with a backpack that I can balance equally on my shoulders, not just carry on one shoulder, but balance equally on my shoulders. And they also make awesome bags now that have sleeves so that the bag can slide down over the top of the handle of your roll-on carry-on. So if your personal item or your carry-on, if you've got a rolling carry-on that like a small suitcase, and you have a backpack or a travel bag that's your personal item that you can slide down over the top of that, it takes a lot of stress off of your shoulders versus carrying something on just one shoulder. Yes, keep your eye on the monitors. Gate changes do happen very suddenly, and if you have the app on your phone for that airline, you should be getting those notifications there as well. That's a great tip, Carla. because things do change rapidly. So definitely keep an eye on the monitors, listen to the announcements, and that's another reason to kind of try to stay close to your gate or your terminal once you've located it. So the backpack or the sleeve shoulders, because of sleeves that can slide down over your my little tiny desktop tripod just keeps sliding. That you can slide down over the handle of your bag, takes a lot of stress off of you, helps you keep track of where everything is. I just like the backpack because nobody's messing with that without my knowledge, because I have a pretty big personal space bubble, and if anybody gets too near it, I can kind of feel them there. So I know that if it's in a backpack on my shoulders, then it's safe, whatever it is, right? Because that's really important. Sanitizing wipes and hand sanitizer, fortunately, thanks to the pandemic, those things are everywhere more than they ever have been before. It's always good to carry them with you as long as you're within the liquids rules of TSA, which is usually 3 ounces, whatever you can fit in basically a quart-size Ziploc baggie. That's no more than 3 ounces each, so you can have your hand sanitizer in there, and then once you get through TSA, you can put that in your purse or your crossbody bag or whatever, so it's easy access. A lot of times the airlines will give you sanitizing wipes to wipe down your area before you have any kind of food or touch anything. So those are always good things, as long as we're not going too crazy with the hand sanitizer, because as we've discussed before, sometimes overuse of that can cause issues as well. A travel pillow. I don't know about you, but I am short, and I have a short torso. And whether I'm in a car or whether I'm on an airplane, on a bus, it doesn't matter. The headrests, no matter how they're set, high or low, can often cause me big problems with my neck because they're just too high, and it kind of pushes my head forward. So a neck pillow is something that I've recently discovered is phenomenal for keeping my neck healthy, if you will, while I'm traveling. If you guys could see this little tripod, I apologize. For keeping my neck in a healthy position, the pillow just kind of pushes my neck forward and lets my head rest back or to the side without the interference of that upper headrest on the seat that frequently causes problems, which is usually why I can't sleep on a plane. So if a travel pillow of that nature allows you to be able to sleep on a plane where you normally wouldn't be, that's, of course, especially if you have a long flight or an overnight red eye, that's a huge benefit. Also, for people that have back issues, sometimes those travel pillows can come in handy to kind of stick behind your shoulders or stick behind your lower back for a little extra lumbar support if that's an issue for you. So, and you can snap them right to your backpack or your purse or whatever, so that they're handy for you. So much handier thing that I didn't ever think I needed until we went to Punta Cana last year. And then finally I broke down and bought one, and I keep it in my suitcase when it's not in use. Headphones. I was so excited last year. Yes, inflatable supports are fantastic too, Carla, because they pack down nicely and they take up very little space, but then they do all the things that a neck support or neck pillow can do. So when we traveled to, where did we travel? When we traveled to Punta Cana, I had these brand new Bluetooth Aftershocks headphones, and I packed those and didn't think anything about the fact that the airlines are not Bluetooth. They don't have Bluetooth setups. So if you want to watch TV or you want to watch an in-flight movie, you still need to have regular headphones that plug into an auxiliary outlet. So make sure that you have if you have headphones at home that you're comfortable with, make sure you bring those, but make sure they're the kind that can plug into an auxiliary plug. That's something sometimes you don't think about till it's too late and you can't do anything about it. I did end up getting earphones from the airline, which is sometimes an extra charge, sometimes not. But I struggle with the ear plugs. So if you need something that's noise canceling, that's going to help you sleep or help you focus if you have to work on the flight, or any of those things, consider bringing those headphones that you're using on a regular basis at home with you in your carry-on or your personal item. But again, make sure that that they are the kind that can plug into the auxiliary cable, unless everything you're doing is going to be from your computer or your phone, because otherwise the Bluetooth is not going to be beneficial to you. And then, of course, anytime you can, as long as the seatbelt sign's not on, which they kind of keep them on, I've noticed, all the time anymore. Yes, I'm still messing with my tripod because it's sliding on this glass table. If you get an opportunity to walk on the plane, walk up and down the aisle, stand up for a few minutes, absolutely do so. If you can't do that, there are little stretches that you can do where you can flex your feet kind of up and sideways and back, rotate your ankles, just to kind of keep your legs moving. Compression socks and leggings are phenomenal for this type of travel, and especially important if you are older, if you're prone to blood clots or anything like that. I love my compression leggings. I will, however, caution you, if you're going to be sitting for a long period of time, against making sure that your compression leggings are not too snug in the waist where they're causing problems if you're sitting for too long, in which case compression socks might be the better option. But for me, most of the time I'm traveling in joggers because our flights are short. If our flights are longer, I will wear my compression leggings from my shop. But again, make sure it's something that's a little more forgiving in the waist so that it's not causing you problems if you're sitting with a waist that's way too tight for too long. And of course, I can help you with the leggings, but if compression socks are a better benefit to you, then that's an alternative as well. Okay, so those are the actual travel tips I have. Let's talk a little bit about health while we're traveling, so that you can kind of keep that. Listen, when we go on vacation, when any of us go on vacation, we are out of routine. And when we're out of routine, we have a tendency to not take as good a care of ourselves. It's not just about maybe not eating as good or anything like that. It's just about being out of routine, which means a lot of things don't happen. So the number one item I would give you is to hydrate. I know that's hard. Some people don't want to use the airplane bathrooms. Some people don't do well in public bathrooms, but hydration is super important to help you wherever you're going or however long you're traveling. It keeps a lot of things normal. Hydration keeps your muscles from getting tired if you're doing a lot of walking, hiking, anything like that. So water is super important. You can't carry it through TSA, but you can carry an empty water bottle through TSA, and then there's usually filling stations, or you can often have them filled at the restaurants inside the airport. So that you've got water. A lot of times the filling stations are lukewarm. They're not chilled at all. But once I get on the plane, I'll get ice and put it in the water bottle to cool that water down. So definitely make sure you have a water bottle on you. A reusable one is excellent. That way, as long as it's empty when you go through TSA, you have no problems, and then you can have it filled once you're inside of there. Keep a schedule, a routine, just like we talked about this with the kids being out of school for the summer. Routine makes, I know nobody wants to keep a schedule or a routine when they're on vacation, but there are some simple, and it's important to sleep in and get rest and get relaxation. But here's the bottom line. For example, I thank you, Carla. For example, I don't do well if I get too much sleep. So as easy as it might be to sleep in until 9 or 10 o'clock, I feel like I've lost half the day when I do that. If I get too much sleep, I also feel as sluggish as I do if I don't get enough. So I know we don't want to keep a routine, and it's okay to have 1 or 2 days where you sleep in, and poor Eric's not getting that today because I'm, basically talking over here in his ear. But it's okay to do that once in a while. But the best way to stay on top and really enjoy your vacation is to keep some kind of a schedule or routine. And my third reason, or my third tip, has to do with that. A lot of times we have vitamins, we have meds. We're not eating as well when we're on vacation, so sometimes our vitamins and supplements might even become more important as far as keeping us healthy while we are gone. But if we're out of routine, it is very easy to forget about our vitamins and things like that, because maybe we're going out to eat and then we're going over there and then we're going over there, and we don't think about those things until we're back in the room or back in the house that we're staying in. A lot of times if you're on meds, you have some kind of a timer you've set to remind you to take them. but not always. And a lot of times just being out of your normal routine can really skew some things, like making sure you're getting enough water, making sure you're getting your vitamins and meds. And again, if you're eating out a lot because you're traveling, it's easy to forget all those vitamins and meds that help to supplement your health while you are, all the time. But when you're traveling and you need it the most, they may not. Yes, here we are. We're on the move again because it's like a little spider leg, and the legs are not, they like stretch and slide. So if I'm crooked, I'm sorry. Okay, so stay in a routine as much as you can. I know you don't want to do that while you're on vacation, but I think you'd be surprised how much, yes, meds and daily packets. There's a lot of options if you're on regular medication that can help you keep up with that. But those of us that are not always on regular medication, or don't think of things like daily med packs or setting timers, might need that little hint to keep us going. Maybe now is the time you start when you're traveling. Get your vegetables. That's number 4. Things get crazy. Eating gets crazy when we're traveling, like I just talked about. And we want to try all the things, all the new things, and balance is key. So you can try all the really yummy things and the local restaurants. Like we went to a place called Green Pig Pub yesterday. It's one of our favorite places to go. There's probably nothing healthy about anything we eat there, but they have the best avocado. They're like, they're like Southwest egg rolls, but they're made with avocado and cheese and black beans, and they're so good. So we have to have them every time. But get your vegetables and fruits. On the plane yesterday morning, we had a very strong breakfast with a lot of fruit and chia. It was called chia pudding. So that was really good. So fruit was taken care of for the day. And then at lunch, when we finally got here, which was still kind of breakfast, it was lunch for our normal time, but here it was still breakfast. We had, I had a vegetable omelet. I wanted to make sure I got my veggies. So it's important to still get the fruits and veggies. One of the times when Eric and I stayed in Orlando, we kind of ate our way through Orlando, but that was when we discovered Brussels sprouts. And all the Brussels sprouts were so good that almost literally every restaurant we went to, we ordered Brussels sprouts. So we may have been indulging in some amazing food, but we were making sure we got our vegetables. Vegetables and fruits are very, very important because they're going to keep you regular, which is a problem for a lot of people when they're traveling. It's harder for them to stay regular. So keep that in mind. You can have the things, you can indulge in the things, but try to make sure you're still getting your fruits and veggies for the day because balance is key, and those are going to help you stay healthy while you are traveling, before and after. Make swaps when you can get away with it, like fruit or salad instead of chips or fries, because a lot of restaurants offer that now, where you can get a side salad instead of fries. So you can still get your vegetables even if you want that juicy local hamburger. There are some times where you can get away with packing some snacks in your carry-on luggage for the airplane. That's, as long as they're small and they're pre-packaged and you're not like trying to take an entire refrigerator or pantry on the plane, you're probably okay. We like these Orchard Valley Harvest nut packs that you can get in packages of 8 at like Publix and sometimes Walmart, and they're fairly clean, and they have some great varieties, and we each had 2 of those in our carry-on luggage for the trip, and then I had a whole bag of 8 packed in the suitcase so that we would have some while we were here and some for the trip home. And those are just like nuts and dried cranberries and roasted chickpeas if you're into that. There's some chocolate dip almonds. There's some great options there. I would not recommend putting the chocolate dip almonds in your suitcase because they're going to be in the underbelly of the plane, where I think it gets kind of warm down there. I don't know. Or maybe that's where it's cold. But if you can usually get away with packing a couple of healthy snacks like a protein bar, something like that in your carry-on, as long as it's sealed. But you do have to be careful because they don't like it when you carry food or beverages through TSA, and a lot of times they'll make you get rid of them. So make it something small that's in your carry-on, and I've never had a problem carrying a protein bar or, like I said, a small individual serving pack of nuts or something like that, Shakeology envelope, anything like that. So pack snacks if you can, and that helps keep you from eating the yucky stuff. a little bit more, and make sure you're getting your fruits and vegetables, even if you're indulging in all the yummy local stuff, all the yummy travel stuff. As long as you're getting your fruits and vegetables in there, you can a lot of times help keep things normal and regular and healthy even while you're indulging. Exercise. Eric and I like to explore. We like to walk places. So I got 13,000, almost 14,000 steps yesterday. So if you can walk somewhere, that's great. If you can't, there are body weight workouts and yoga workouts that you can do in your room or in the home you're staying in if you're in a VRBO or something like that. And a lot of times, most hotels have gyms as well. So try to make sure you're getting some kind of physical activity, that you're not just sitting around all the time. In conferences, sometimes that's hard to do. As Saturday, I'll be on my butt a lot. But I've been known to walk to the back of the room and stand up just to give my legs a break, and try to make sure that there's plenty of walking during breaks and lunchtime, so that we stay active. So again, if you can walk places and explore, that is the best way to do things. It's the best way to see things and still get activity. But if not, there are weight workouts, push-ups, things like that. And yoga that you can do in your hotel or your room, or you can hit the hotel gym. Trails, if you are in an area, there's a couple of different apps out there, and I have to find out from a friend. There's one in particular that a friend of mine uses that tells him whatever kind of historical landmarks are nearby wherever he is. And that's a great app. There's lots of stuff out there. Here, there's an app called All Trails that we've used here in Salt Lake City before, that tells you what hiking trails are nearby and what their level of difficulty is, if you pay attention to that and actually look, because we didn't last time. We got ourselves into a pretty difficult hike. So there's those apps that are out there. They keep, you have to pay attention to, keep in mind your abilities and your skill level. But there are apps that can lead you to, like I said, historical landmarks, hiking trails, whatever the case may be, wherever you are, to check out cool things. I will find out the name of that app I just spoke of, and drop it in the comments, because that was I've traveled with him and his wife before, and that was something pretty cool that he had. He had an app that told him where local caves were, because he was a cave diver. He is a cave diver. And it also, he had another one that told him where local landmarks and things like that were. So there's some pretty cool things out there if you start digging around in the app world, that can give you access to things that might be right under your nose that you don't know about. So you can kind of conduct your own tours that way. So keep that in mind. Those type of things can help you find things to do while staying safe and staying active. Don't try to cram everything in. We have a tendency when we're on vacations to try to cram as much as we can in on the day. And a lot of times, and then we try on top of that to take photos of absolutely everything we're doing, right? This is pretty common nowadays. Everybody's trying to get the perfect photo for their social media post. They're trying to cram in so much stuff. But what happens is this leaves us focused on photos, and it leaves us overscheduled. And we lose the sensory memories that come with exploration and trying new things, the smells and the tastes and the feels, and the sounds of whatever we're exploring, whatever we're checking out. And so we lose those sensory experiences because we're trying to create a memory with a photo or a reel or a short video or something like that. And we forget to actually enjoy and pay attention to where we're at. So don't try to cram everything in, and don't try to, photos are fantastic, and yes, they are there when you can't be, but if you're trying to take photos of everything all the time, sometimes you lose the actual memory making part of what you're doing. So don't try to cram everything in, and take your photos. Those are really important, but don't forget to put the camera down and just look around and smell and breathe and experience what you're doing. Meditation is a great thing that you can do just about anywhere. It doesn't have to be perfectly quiet. If you're in a beautiful garden or next to a pond, those are opportunities to sit and quietly reflect or meditate, and that kind of helps keep your mental health on the level that it should be on while you're traveling or while you're at home. So especially if there's a beautiful quiet place where you can take a few minutes to sit and quietly reflect or meditate. Those are sometimes the best meditations or reflections that you can experience. I finally got smart and started holding my stand so it would stop sliding. And then number 9 health tip, don't forget the sunscreen. We may or may not have done that yesterday after we went out exploring a little bit. So don't forget the sunscreen, because a lot of times, especially like here in Salt Lake City, it's less humid, so it doesn't feel as hot outside, which is fantastic because Florida's been crazy. But it's you can actually burn easier if you're not feeling as hot, because you're less conscious of what's going on with your body, because you're not as warm as when you're in the beating Florida sun or whatever. So make sure if you're going to be out there during the day, even if it's overcast, that you're wearing sunscreen and protecting your skin. It's super important nowadays, right? So don't forget your sunscreen. That's an easy thing to forget. And if you do forget, usually there's a Walgreens or some kind of grocery store. We have a Trader Joe's nearby. There's a Walgreens nearby. Pick up some sunscreen, or in the Sundries Market in your hotel. Just because you forgot it doesn't mean you can't get your hands on it and use it wisely. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope you learned something here that maybe you didn't already know. Like I said, I thought this was a good topic, especially when I found out that there were people that didn't know that you could long-term park on airport property. So hopefully you found this helpful. I will find the name of those apps that my friend uses to find local caves and local landmarks for wherever you are, and drop those in the comment. And of course, the one that we'll be using here probably at some point is called All Trails. Most of them have free versions, and then if you want certain types of upgrades, you can pay for an upgrade, or there might be a trial period that might just work perfect for you while you're traveling if you've never used it before. And just remember, first of all, be aware of your environment. Wherever you are, you're in a strange place. Make sure you know where the safety resources are, hospital, police department, whatever, and be aware of what's going on around you. Especially in the airport, whatever, because that's important to help you stay safe, is to be very aware of what's going on around you. It's easy when you're walking around your own town to just be like, la, la, la. It's not really smart necessarily to do that when you are in a strange place, a foreign land, foreign city, and by foreign, I mean foreign to you, not necessarily foreign according to the United States. And if you're overindulging, don't beat yourself up over what I like to call debauchery. It's okay. You're on vacation. You can have the high-calorie foods, and you can have the beer and the wine and the cocktails. Just like I said, try to find some balance in there with some vegetables and fruits and some kind of a schedule, and make sure you hydrate, and don't beat yourself up over that debauchery. It's such a fun word. And then, of course, number 3, whatever you're doing, enjoy yourself and make awesome memories. Okay, just try to stay safe and keep a little balance while you're doing it. And I think that with these tips, you can absolutely find awesome ways to make the most of your vacation time and your traveling. If you have any tips to share that you haven't already, drop them in the comments. Shoot me a message. I will find out the name of those apps. Since it's later there than it is here, it's okay for me to text him. I won't be waking him up. And I hope you all have enjoyed. I wish that it was light outside. Since it's so early here, it's also very light outside. So I'll keep that in mind next time I'm traveling. Maybe I'll change the time of that Wellness Wednesday so that I can be outside, where you can actually see some of the scenery where we're at. But I hope you found this helpful. If you found this helpful, please feel free to share, drop a comment, send me a message. I'll find out the name of those apps and put them in the comments. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a fabulous day. Be well, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.